Okay folks, I wanted to go over how I do a rifle bedding job. I used to do it where I packed all this clay in here, packed it with foam, sealed all these edges up so where you didn't get this run over and yada yada yada. And there's a lot of guys out there doing that, and that's all fine. Took me a long time to do it, a better part of a day, at least half a day, and I just don't have that kind of time. And I was shown a way to do it where you use just enough epoxy to get your bedding job done, and you use a release agent, just a spray-on release agent. You can get, Midway sells it. Matter of fact, that's where I got my last can. Brownell sells it. And instead of doing all that prep work, all I went in and did was cut some lines in here. Now I do it on a mill. You can do it with a Dremel tool. That's how I used to do it. You cut some lines in here, cut some grooves in here. I left a pad because this is a hunting rifle right here. It's not a F-class gun or a PRS gun. Same thing on this side that you can't see. Cut some back here, obviously where the pad goes. I left a little bit so everything's the right depth, I guess would be the correct word. And yeah, I get that done, clean that up really good with some carburetor cleaner. And then I come back in and I just spray release agent. I clean all this up with carb cleaner again. I do cover up all of the wording, any engraving that's on the receiver. I really like to cover that up just so that the DEVCON epoxy doesn't get into it. It's just a pain in the butt to clean out. So throw some electrical tape over it, you're good to go. I take and put relief tape like everybody else does on the front of the recoil lug, and on the bottom and sides. The rear does not get any tape. It'd help if I get it in picture. So the front of the recoil lug gets tape right here, the sides, top and bottom, and I use an old film canister to cut that arc. It's just perfect size. And then I just, once it's all clean good, I spray it with a release agent, and you can kind of still see the release agent. I don't know, it might not come up in the camera, but it's just a silicone spray basically, if you will. So put that aside. I spray my bottom metal. Now it's completely taken apart. Some modifications I had to do for this fit up. So it's all covered, and then obviously take your action screws and cover them with the spray. Once that's done, mix your epoxy. I literally go in there just like it is right now, and I take a popsicle stick and I spread it in there. I leave a little bit opening around my holes, maybe an 1/8 inch gap all the way around each of my action screws. That way the epoxy's got somewhere to kind of go, because it will fill in, and it makes a mess even more than you're gonna have. And then I put the receiver in, the inlet. And this is where I do it a little bit different. I have my bottom metal taped on the bottom and my screws ready to go. And once I put the receiver in, I just squeeze it down, start my screws, and I take my screws and I run them all the way up till they're tight. And then I back them off a half a turn, so that there's no binding in any of the inlet, and my receiver's not gonna get bound up inside the inlet itself. That's one of the things you don't want to do. So on this particular case, I use a little bitty, I actually used a index card as a shim, and then I use some clay down here, which I typically don't have to do that, but I wanted to do it for this specific build. I put a little pad in here, so that's kind of a dam. And now I knock out, clean out, pull out the receiver. I'll go back in. Again, you can do this with a Dremel. I'll go back in, put in my mill, and I will clean all of this stuff up, and it will just be a nice clean job. And I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done with it. Obviously the resin will start flopping over everywhere. Once it starts coming out, and it will when you squeeze the receiver in, you just take some Q-tips. I like to use just plastic Q-tips, and you clean it up, and it cleans up great with vinegar and Q-tips. Takes a little bit, probably takes 30 minutes. It's a 30-minute job after you've got the receiver in and bolted down to get all the cleanup done, but it's far easier than the half day that it used to take me to do the same job. And I'll take a file and dress all these edges, and then I'll take my mill and go through, drill these holes out. I'll take a 1/4 inch drill, because that's what they are, 1/4 inch drill all that out, just so my action screws aren't binding when I'm trying to put them in my receiver. And then if you look at I wanted to show you this, if you look at the receiver, a lot of times you'll end up with epoxy resin inside, or epoxy inside these holes. And if you do the epoxy, or if you do the release agent correctly, it won't stick. It's in there, but all you got to do is take a punch, pop it out. And it's going to be hard to see in the camera. There you go. That's a a pinhole for the bolt release that'll be on a spring, and it's got resin, and that's threaded. I put release agent in there. All it'll take is a little bitty punch, and that'll knock right out. So that's what's great about this. That release agent doesn't allow it to bind anywhere that you don't want it. That's just kind of my process. I'm gonna go clean this up on the mill, drill it all out, clean up the receiver, and I'll show you what that looks like when we're done. Okay, so this is after I've cleaned it up. You'll see there's a little bit of epoxy resin still right here. Actually, I just saw that, so I'll probably clean that up just a little bit better. But you can see I've ground that pad back, cleaned up all of my edges through here. And most of this was done with just that guy right there, just a simple good Swiss file with a rounded back. Pressure pad, I took these hard edges off, then just hand filed all that, opened that up with a hand file, and then like I said, I drill these out with a 1/4 inch drill. So pretty neat, clean job. I will touch this up with just black spray paint, just kind of makes it look cleaner. That way you're not looking at it. So at any rate, that's it. Just ran my mill in, cut it, done. So literally took probably, better part of 20 minutes to get all that done. But I just wanted to show you what the finished product looked like.